Speaking of farm systems, as I drone on and on and on, it does dovetail nicely with recent Detroit Tigers news that I want to get into, as the Tigers have but three of the top 100, according to MLB Pipeline. I'm sorry, they have four in the top 100, but three are in the top 25, which is pretty substantial. With Max Clark, first round draft pick last year, and Jackson Jobe, one of the last first round draft picks of the Al Avila era. But number 2022 or number 22 overall in MLB Pipeline is Colt Keith, which you and I have not discussed a whole lot. I refrained from doing so last year, even though he was tearing up the minor leagues with 27 home runs. Didn't seem quite relevant until he became incredibly relevant this past week, where out of the blue, the Tigers made their first signing of a player who has never set foot on a major league ballpark field to an extended deal. When it was first reported, I almost spit out my beer with fury, because when I first heard it, it was it was a 9-year, $82 million deal. And immediately that made absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. And it's something you mentioned before that I have been railing against. I've raked Rick Hahn over the coals for doing for years, with so many of your prospects in the late 20 teens. That specifically Yohan Moncada is the worst example of, and we've seen how that has not worked out well. To see the Tigers doing something very similar to that was driving me crazy until the real details came out, where there's only 6 years of that guaranteed. The money is $28 million. It is nothing like a 9-year, $82 million deal. It is a 6-year, $28 million deal is the way you look at it. That's still plenty of money for Colt Keith. Not nearly the type of crippling deal that could derail a franchise that I have no interest in. That's less than just over $4 million a year. Even the Tigers, who do not have the same kind of coffers as the Chicago Cubs do, still have plenty of money. That's not going to be an issue. If Colt Keith is a total bust, which would be surprising, it's certainly not impossible. Even if he was a total bust, that's money that the Tigers could easily absorb. That's where I get to with these long-term deals. I'm not interested in crippling deals that my teams have to deal with. Cubs, Tigers were crippled by the Miguel Cabrera deal. That is so different, though, with his extension, in that he was essentially almost Hank Aaron with his career numbers. For the Tigers, at least on a monetary basis, they made that money back in ticket sales and everything else, because everyone was trying to pursue his 3,000th hit, his 500th home run. I was at those games. But giving it to a player that has never set foot on a major league field it's unprecedented for the Tigers. I'm dubious about. I think he's gonna be a good player. I think giving him the money ahead of time I don't know. I'm not gonna kill him. I'm not gonna kill Scott Harris for doing it. I think to degrees, it's just not nearly the type of deal that Yohan Moncada got. You and I tried to make the comp earlier in the show. I don't see a comparison, just because we're not, like, what Yohan Moncada is going to make this year is almost exactly what Colt Keith is going to make by the end of his 6 years guaranteed. That's where I draw the distinction.
No, I would agree. I would agree with that. I only saw the 82 million number. I was like, whoa.
I wouldn't blame you if that was the deal. I'd be flipping out right now.
Yeah.
So
the fact that they're all club options, not like a player option,
it's like a 10, like the 7th year is a 10 million club option, which if he's still he'd be age 28, I believe, at that point. $10 million 7 years from now, it would be like a $5 million deal right now, which is again nothing. It escalates to 13 and 15, but again, those are club options. Those are very friendly terms
Yeah, I would
for
I
the
would say
Tigers.
what the Tigers have essentially done, and what I always um, the reason I always liked the extension deals was if you are forced to work within a budget, there's teams that aren't. We see
Right.
like the Dodgers, it doesn't matter. But
Yep.
the Tigers are working within a budget, and the Sox, whether they should or not, are working within a budget. And what it did was it allowed you to avoid the arbitration issue where you're risking a bit, but this deal is not terribly risky. But the
Mhm.
Sox risked a lot to be able to know exactly what the numbers were on the books going into the
Yeah,
season. It made it easier to money manage the deals that Han did. And if those guys hit, those all would have been team friendly deals, but they just turned out the only team friendly deal right now is the Lewis Robert deal.
that is extremely friendly. You still have him for 4 more years.
Yeah.
So yeah, my criticism of Rick Hahn is specifically with the Yohan Moncada deal. He certainly did not screw up the Robert deal nearly as bad. So like Moncada, we brought it up at the time. Both this Colt deal and Moncada, they like as you mentioned, they bought out their arbitration years. The problem with the Moncada deal is you bought them out at the top of peak value,
Yeah,
and
they
you didn't
basically
save any money there, which
no,
was
they bought them out based on projections.
they bought them out. And then I went through years later after that deal was signed and compared it to what the top players in baseball were getting in those arbitration years. And one was Chris Bryant, and his numbers were basically he got $20 million like the last year of arbitration. Of course, he's a World Series champion. He was a Rookie of the Year. He was a league MVP. So he would be the top of the arbitration market going forward. And Moncada those payments automatically without achieving those heights that Chris Bryant did. So that was my argument against the Rick Hahn plan, and that certainly failed him. But I guess that's the difference with this. I'm trying not to be a hypocrite here and pointing out the differences. Just the sheer dollars, essentially 5 million a year throughout his arbitration years. If Colt Keith is a complete bust, that doesn't kill the Tigers. If he's a decent player, which he's projecting to be, it could be a steal. So it's a low risk, high reward.
Yeah,
Keith is 22 years old. He the thing is with this announcement and the excitement over it, he has to be the Tigers' opening day starter at second base. It would be such an embarrassment if he flames out this spring and can't make the major league roster after skyrocketing through the minor league system up to AAA for the second half of last season. If he can't does not make the opening day roster as the starting second baseman, this would already look bad. And that's all the Tigers are really risking is just a PR perception because it would look bad. It does not cripple the organization, I guess is my overall point.
yeah. I mean, the reason the Mancada contract looks extremely bad too is this last year, like you said, is $24 million, and I'm
He's
not
going to earn it though. He's motivated. So
yeah. The average, it goes 14 million goes against the books because
okay,
part of that contract is a club option of 25 million in 2025. So he's not gonna. He's again. I still think he got 17 million dollars last year. He did not deserve 17 million. He got 13 million the year before and 6 million in 2021.
right.
So
And
like
the other argument is Rick Hahn did multiple deals like that, and they,
no, right,
one is really
100.
paid off, and that's ultimately what cost him his job is because only one of those paid off.
Yeah,
The rest of them
true.
crippled the organization. So
Yeah.
that's the situation. But it does foretell maybe this is the Tigers' strategy going forward, and he's going to sign more players to these deals, thus putting him in the same type of jeopardy Rick Hahn put himself in.
Not if he does it like he just did this one. I mean,
Well,
there's
but
the only
to your
risk you
point, though,
have.
there's
The only risk you have is that idea that you've always said, and now that I've seen it happen to my team, I have to agree with it that people are motivated by a paycheck, and if you already got paid,
it can be, yeah.
if you already got paid, then
it brings up my next question. What does this mean for Torkelson, who just hit 30 home runs as
I
a major
know
leaguer? What does this mean for Riley Green, who hasn't
$24 million a year, baby?
well, yeah. What do they think about this? Are they
Yeah,
pissed that they
they
gave a deal to Colt Keith, but they didn't? Or maybe they didn't want this kind of deal. Maybe the Cubs or maybe the Tigers did come to them with this kind of deal and they rejected it. I don't know. Maybe this is the first top prospect they could get to do it. I don't know.
maybe
But it's just,
Moncada really knew how average he was,
well, maybe he was just more interested in the dollars and the
and
music
the
videos and
music
everything else.
videos.
Yeah. I think, yeah. And everyone's different. Some players are self-motivated.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily motivated by money. It's hard to say, but
And I don't want to sit here and say Moncada is motivated by money, but based on his comments he just made,
the empirical evidence is there and comments. Just the WBC last year is what drives me crazy. What a world beater he was. He looked incredible when he was motivated to play for his country.
yeah,
And that did not translate into the regular season whatsoever. But
little bit at the beginning, but not much after that. He got injured like 2.5 weeks in, and the rest is
injured,
history.
yeah, that seems to be the story of his career. But so we'll see with Colt Keith. I have no reason to doubt that he'll be motivated. I think he's be very motivated this spring to make the opening day roster, and the Tigers will be motivated to see him do that.
Word Hole Media.